I didn't understand sending me back. Why? Why would anyone leave a place like this? There is a message you must deliver. He continued, his voice steady, but heavy, with sorrow, a message for the world. And then I saw him, Bill Gates.
Imagine dying, leaving this world, and standing in the presence of Jesus, only to be sent back with a message so urgent, so world-changing that it could alter humanity's future. This is the true story of Elizabeth Wheeler, a 60-year-old woman who defied death, returned to life, and brought back a warning for us all. What she saw and who it involves will leave you speechless. Watch until the end to hear the message that could shape the fate of our world.
It wasn't supposed to end this way. I never thought my life would come down to a moment like this, strapped to a hospital bed, wires tangled around my frail body, the rhythmic beep of machines counting down my final breaths. The air was thick with despair, and I could feel it in every labored gasp. My daughter, Amanda, was clutching my hand so tightly it hurt, her tears falling silently onto the bed sheets. My son-in-law paced the room, his face etched with helplessness, while my grandchildren sat in the corner, their wide eyes staring at me like I was already gone. But I wasn't ready to leave, not yet. A part of me clung desperately to this world, the world I had built, the people I loved, the memories I cherished. Yet, I could feel it slipping away, a relentless pull that no amount of willpower could resist. My heart was failing, and so was the rest of me. The doctors had done everything they could. Amanda had begged them for one more option, one more test, but there was nothing left. They had gently told her to prepare for the inevitable, though no words could soften the weight of what was coming. My vision blurred as Amanda's voice broke through the fog. "Mom, please, hang on. Don't go. I need you." I wanted to fight, to hold on for her, but I was so tired of the pain, tired of the struggle. It felt like my body wasn't mine anymore, as if it had betrayed me. A deep, primal fear took hold of me, fear of the unknown, of what waited on the other side. But then, in the midst of the chaos, a strange sense of calm began to wash over me. The machines slowed their beeping. The rooms seemed to grow quieter, as if the world itself was preparing for my exit. My last memory before everything went dark was Amanda's voice, trembling and soft. "I love you, Mom. I'll never forget you." And then it happened. Not once, but 3 times. For the first time, I felt the weight of my body release, like shedding a heavy coat. My pain was gone, my fear dissipated. I had died 3 times in 3 days, and yet I was not gone. Something extraordinary was about to unfold. The moment my body gave up, I expected darkness, maybe nothingness. But what came next was something I could never have imagined. It began with a stillness, a peace that wrapped around me like the warmest blanket. All the fear, all the pain, it was gone. I wasn't floating, but I wasn't standing either. I was simply there, weightless, free. And then there was light. It wasn't the harsh, blinding kind of light you might expect. It was alive. It pulsed gently, like it was breathing, growing brighter with each moment. I felt it before I saw it. Love, pure and unending, radiating from the light in waves so powerful it brought me to tears. It wasn't just love. It was the love of someone who knew me completely, every flaw, every mistake, and still embraced me entirely. As I moved toward it, the world around me began to transform. Shapes appeared, colors more vivid than anything I had ever seen on Earth. Rolling fields stretched out before me, golden and endless. Rivers sparkled like liquid diamonds, and the air itself hummed with a music that felt more like a heartbeat than a melody. Everything around me was alive, not just existing, but truly alive in a way I had never experienced. And then I felt him. Before I even saw him, I knew. It was as if my soul recognized his presence. A presence so overwhelming that I felt both incredibly small and infinitely loved at the same time. Jesus. When I finally saw him, it was like seeing the sun for the first time. He wasn't like the images I'd seen in church. He was radiant, glowing from within with a light that wasn't just brightness, but life itself. His eyes, they held everything: kindness, wisdom, love, and something else, sorrow. It was as if he carried the weight of the world in his gaze. And yet, he still looked at me with nothing but compassion. He didn't speak with words, not at first. His voice wasn't something I heard with my ears. It was in me, around me, filling every part of my being. "Welcome, my child," he said, and in that moment, every fear I'd ever known melted away. My knees buckled, and I fell before him, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of his presence. He placed a hand on my shoulder, and I felt a warmth that went beyond anything I'd ever known. "You are here for but a moment," he said, his voice steady and filled with sorrow. "Your work is not done. I am sending you back. But there is a message you must deliver, a message for the world." I wanted to stay. I wanted to beg him to let me remain in this place where peace reigned and love was all-encompassing. But his words left no room for argument. I didn't understand why. Why would he send me back? Why would anyone leave a place like this? But before I could ask, the visions began. What I saw next would change my life and the lives of everyone on earth forever. I knelt before him, trembling, overwhelmed by his radiance and the love that poured from him like a river. My heart was at peace, yet his eyes carried a weight that unsettled me, a mixture of sorrow and urgency. I wanted to stay in this place, to bask in his presence forever. But then he spoke, and his voice resonated through me like thunder and a whisper all at once. "You cannot stay," he said, gently but firmly. His words cut through the perfect stillness, their weight impossible to ignore. I looked up at him, my heart breaking at the thought of leaving. "Why," I whispered, my voice trembling, "why would anyone leave this place?" His expression softened, but the sorrow in his eyes deepened. "Because your work is not finished," he said. "There is a message you must deliver, a warning for the world. Humanity is at a crossroads, and the choices made now will shape the future in ways you cannot yet comprehend." I wanted to argue, to plead with him to let me stay, but something in his tone silenced my protest. He placed a hand on my shoulder, and the warmth of his touch filled me with both comfort and resolve. "You have been chosen for this task," he continued, "not because you are perfect, but because you will speak the truth." I nodded, though I didn't fully understand. "What is this message?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. His gaze became even more intense, and I felt as though he could see every corner of my soul. "The world is being shaped by forces that few understand," he said. "Technology, innovation, progress, they are tools, neither good nor evil. But their use depends on the hearts of those who wield them. And one man stands at the center of these tools, a man whose choices will ripple across generations." A name formed in my mind before he spoke it, as though the very air carried its weight. "Bill Gates." I blinked in confusion, trying to reconcile the name with the magnitude of what I was hearing. "Bill Gates?" I asked, the words sounding strange in this holy place. Jesus nodded. "His influence extends far beyond what is seen. Through technology, healthcare, and global initiatives, his work holds great potential for healing or for harm. But the path he takes and the choices he makes will determine whether humanity is led toward light or into darkness." The gravity of his words pressed down on me like a heavy stone. I wanted to ask more, to understand why this man was so pivotal, but before I could, the world around us began to change. The light around us dimmed, and the radiant fields faded into shadows. In their place, I saw Earth, not the Earth I had known, but a vision of it, spinning in the vastness of space. At first, it was breathtakingly beautiful, teeming with life and promise. I saw forests lush with greenery, oceans sparkling under the sun, and cities bustling with energy and progress. But as I watched, shadows began to creep across the surface, spreading like a dark veil. "What am I seeing?" I asked, my voice shaking. "This is the state of the world," Jesus replied, his tone grave. "It is a world of great potential, yet it teeters on the edge of ruin." The shadows grew darker, and I began to see their source. Greed, corruption, and a growing dependence on technology filled the scenes before me. I saw factories spewing smoke into the air, oceans choked with plastic, and people hunched over their screens, disconnected from the world and each other. The beauty of Earth was still there, but it was being swallowed by humanity's short-sightedness and hunger for more. Then the vision shifted. I saw Bill Gates standing at the center of a great web. The web stretched across the world, connecting millions of lives through technology, healthcare, and innovation. I saw him overseeing massive projects, vaccines that saved lives, computers that bridged gaps, and programs aimed at improving the future. But the web was fragile, and cracks began to form. Behind Gates, shadowy figures moved, whispering in his ear. Some encouraged him, their faces kind but their intentions hidden. Others sowed seeds of doubt, their expressions twisted with malice. It was clear he was at a crossroads, his every decision weighted with consequences far beyond what he could see. Jesus' voice echoed through the vision. "He has been given great power, and with it comes great responsibility. But the enemy seeks to twist his gifts, to use his influence for purposes that will lead humanity into darkness." I saw flashes of what could be. In one vision, Gates's work brought light to the world. Technology was used to heal, to connect, to uplift. People came together, and humanity thrived in harmony with creation. But in the other vision, the web turned into chains. Technology became a tool of control, stripping people of their freedom and humanity. The earth grew cold and lifeless, consumed by greed and fear. The vision ended, and I was left trembling. Jesus looked at me with a sorrowful gaze. "Pray for him," he said. "Pray for wisdom, for discernment, and for strength. The choices he makes will shape the world for generations to come." The weight of his words pressed heavily on my heart. I knew then that the message wasn't just for Bill Gates. It was for all of us. We are the stewards of this world, and the future depends on the choices we make today. The world before me transformed once again. The vision of Earth gave way to a new scene. A vast expanse of land split into two distinct paths. One road glowed with light, golden and warm, stretching far into a horizon of hope and peace. The other was dark and foreboding, twisted with shadows that seemed to whisper of despair and destruction. "This is the crossroads," Jesus said, his voice calm yet filled with urgency. "Humanity stands here now, at a point of decision. Every choice made today will echo into the future, shaping the lives of generations yet to come." The bright path shimmered with harmony. I saw people working together, their actions guided by compassion and wisdom. Technology thrived, but it was a servant to humanity, not a master. Machines worked alongside people to heal the planet, feed the hungry, and connect those who were once divided. Nature flourished, and the earth seemed to hum with life. "This is the future humanity can create," Jesus explained. "A future of light, unity, and sustainability. But it requires humility, love, and a willingness to prioritize what truly matters." Then his gaze shifted to the darker path. I followed it, my heart sinking as the shadows deepened. I saw a world where technology had been corrupted. Machines no longer served humanity. They ruled over it. Skyscrapers loomed like silent sentinels in lifeless cities, while people shuffled beneath them, isolated and disconnected. The air was cold, devoid of warmth or hope. "This is the other future," Jesus said, his tone heavy with sorrow. "A future of control and dehumanization. Technology becomes a tool of oppression, stripping away freedom and individuality. Humanity forgets its soul, consumed by greed, fear, and a reliance on the very things that destroy them. The crossroads stretched endlessly, each path beckoning with its own promise. Jesus turned to me, his eyes piercing yet compassionate. Innovation is neither good nor evil, he said. It is a gift, a tool, but like all gifts, it must be used wisely. Technology can be a blessing, a force for good that uplifts and unites, or it can become a curse used to dominate and divide. I felt the weight of his words. This choice wasn't just for governments or tech leaders. It was for everyone. Every decision, no matter how small, led humanity further down one path or the other. What can we do? I asked, my voice trembling. Pray, he said simply. Pray for wisdom, for discernment, and for strength to choose the light. And act with love. For love is the only force that can guide humanity towards salvation. The scene shifted again, and I found myself standing before a figure at the heart of the crossroads. Bill Gates. He wasn't the man I had seen in news headlines or documentaries. Here, he stood as a symbol of influence, a man whose choices carried immense weight for the future of humanity. Jesus spoke, his tone steady but grave. Bill Gates holds great power over the tools shaping this world. His work in technology, healthcare, and global policy has the potential to bring healing or to bring harm. I saw Gates surrounded by his creations: computers, satellites, vaccines, artificial intelligence. They pulsed with energy, alive with the possibilities they represented. I watched as his work extended to every corner of the earth, touching lives in ways both seen and unseen. There were images of vaccines saving lives, innovations connecting communities, and initiatives tackling global challenges like poverty and disease. But then the shadows appeared. Behind Gates, I saw figures whispering in his ear. Some voices encouraged him to pursue good, their intentions aligned with unity and compassion. Others, however, sought to exploit his brilliance for darker purposes. They whispered of control, of profits over people, of a future where technology became a tool for dominance. Jesus continued, his voice filled with sorrow. Bill Gates is at the center of a moral and ethical struggle. His intentions may be good, but the enemy seeks to twist his work, to use his influence for purposes that lead to darkness. The vision shifted again, showing two possible futures for Gates's work. In one, his innovations were used to uplift humanity. Vaccines eradicated diseases. Artificial intelligence enhanced education and healthcare, and technology connected people in ways that fostered understanding and unity. Gates stood as a man of vision and compassion, his efforts guided by humility and a desire to serve. In the other future, his creations became tools of control. Vaccines were weaponized, used not for healing but for manipulation. Artificial intelligence stripped people of their privacy, turning them into data points in a system that valued efficiency over humanity. Technology became a chain, binding people to a world devoid of compassion and free will. His influence extends far beyond what is seen, Jesus said. The choices he makes will ripple across generations, shaping the world in ways few can comprehend. Pray for him, for the weight of his decisions is great. I felt a deep sense of urgency. Gates was not just a man. He was a symbol of the crossroads humanity faced. His work reflected the potential for both incredible good and unimaginable harm. What can we do? I asked again. Pray, Jesus repeated. Pray for him and others like him, for they hold the tools that can build a future of light or plunge the world into shadows. The vision ended, leaving me with a profound sense of responsibility. This wasn't just about Bill Gates. It was about all of us. The choices we make, the values we hold, and the actions we take. The future was not set in stone. and it was up to humanity to choose which path to follow. The light around us dimmed, and the warmth I had felt in Jesus' presence gave way to a chilling cold. The world before me transformed into a landscape that was both familiar and terrifying. What I saw next shook me to my core, a future I prayed would never come to pass. "This is the path of darkness," Jesus said, his voice filled with sorrow. "It is a vision of what may come if humanity continues down the wrong road." The first image was a city, cold and gray, bathed in a faint, artificial glow. Skyscrapers stretched toward a sky obscured by a haze of pollution and darkness. The streets were silent, save for the hum of drones patrolling the air. People walked with their heads down, their faces illuminated not by sunlight, but by the cold, unfeeling glow of their devices. Their eyes were empty, their movements mechanical, as though they were no longer truly alive. Mass surveillance was everywhere. Cameras watched every corner, every home, every street. Screens displayed endless streams of propaganda, their messages commanding compliance. For your safety, they read. For the greater good, privacy was a distant memory, replaced by a system that tracked every move, every thought, and every word. I saw homes filled with devices that listened and reported. Families sat together but did not speak, their interactions mediated by artificial intelligence. Even thoughts seemed no longer their own, as neural implants. The same technology, once promised to heal, now served as a tool for control. These devices collected their deepest fears, desires, and dreams, feeding them into a vast system that manipulated their every action. "The loss of privacy is the loss of freedom," Jesus said, his tone heavy with grief. When humanity surrenders its will to technology, it surrenders its soul. At the center of it all stood Bill Gates, not as a villain, but as a pivotal figure whose choices had shaped this reality. I saw him surrounded by screens, his image projected across the world. His influence had grown immeasurable, but the forces behind him had twisted his work into something unrecognizable. The technologies he had pioneered to heal and connect were now tools of oppression, wielded by unseen powers for their gain. The final image was the most horrifying. I saw humans no longer as individuals, but as numbers, data points in a vast, unfeeling system. Their identities had been stripped away, replaced by algorithms that dictated their every move. Creativity, compassion, and faith had been eroded, leaving a world cold, lifeless, and disconnected from God. Jesus turned to me, his eyes filled with both sorrow and hope. "This is the future that awaits if humanity does not turn back. It is not inevitable, but it is possible. Pray, for the enemy seeks to use brilliance against those who wield it." Before despair could overwhelm me, the scene began to change. The cold, lifeless city faded, replaced by a world bathed in light and life. This was not a vision of the past, but of what could be a future of hope, unity, and redemption. "This," Jesus said, his voice steady and filled with love, "is the alternative." The first image was a community, vibrant and alive. People worked together, their faces lit not by screens, but by the warmth of shared purpose and connection. Technology was present, but it served humanity rather than enslaving it. Machines and artificial intelligence worked alongside people, helping to grow food, heal the sick, and repair the earth. The air was clean, the skies clear, and nature flourished alongside human innovation. I saw homes where technology enhanced life without overshadowing it. Devices helped to connect, educate, and empower, but they never replaced the human spirit. Neural implants were no longer tools of control, but of healing, giving sight to the blind, movement to the paralyzed, and understanding to those once divided by language or culture. "Technology is a gift," Jesus explained, "but like all gifts, it must be used with wisdom and love. When guided by faith and humility, it can be a force for great good." In this future, I saw leaders like Bill Gates using their influence to bring light rather than darkness. Vaccines saved lives without hidden agendas. Artificial intelligence worked to solve humanity's greatest challenges from hunger to disease without eroding personal freedom. Gates and others like him acted not out of greed or ambition, but out of a genuine desire to serve. Jesus' voice grew more urgent. This is not a future that happens by chance. It requires prayer, action, and a commitment to values that reflect the divine. Without these, even the best intentions can be twisted. The final image was the most powerful. I saw humanity kneeling in prayer, united not by fear but by faith. People from all walks of life, all nations, and all beliefs came together. Their hearts aligned with a shared purpose. The light of God radiated through them, transforming the world into a reflection of His love and grace. Jesus turned to me, His gaze piercing and filled with hope. The choice is yours, and all who walk the earth. Redemption or ruin, light or darkness. The tools are in your hands, but the outcome depends on the hearts of those who use them. I felt the weight of His words, the urgency of the moment. The future was not set in stone. It was a choice that belonged to every one of us. And with that, I knew the message I had to deliver, a message of prayer, discernment, and action. The time to decide was now. The light began to fade, and I felt a pull, a tug at my very soul, dragging me back. My heart ached to stay, to remain in the presence of Jesus, surrounded by His love and the peace of that eternal place. But His words echoed in my mind. You must go back. Tell them what you have seen. The choice is theirs. The transition was jarring, like being plunged into cold water after basking in warm sunlight. Suddenly, I was aware of my body again. The weight of it, the pain, the fragility. The sound of machines filled my ears, their beeping sharp and frantic. Then came the voices. She's breathing. Oh my God, she's breathing. It was Amanda, my daughter. Her voice was a mix of disbelief and desperation. I opened my eyes slowly, and the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room pierced through the haze. Faces hovered over me. Amanda's tear-streaked face, a nurse shouting for a doctor, my son-in-law staring wide-eyed from the corner of the room. Mom, Amanda's voice cracked as she clutched my hand, her grip trembling. Is it really you? I tried to speak, but my throat was dry and raw. I managed a single word, hoarse and faint. Yes, the chaos that followed was overwhelming. A nurse dropped her clipboard, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Doctors and staff rushed in, their voices overlapping as they checked my vitals and reset machines that had already declared me dead. My mind was sluggish, struggling to process the surreal scene unfolding around me. One doctor, his face pale and his hands shaking, stared at me as though I were a ghost. You were gone, he muttered. We called the time of death. This isn't possible. But I was back. The weight of what I had seen, of the message I carried, pressed down on me like a heavy cloak. Amanda's voice broke through the noise. Mom, what happened? How are you alive? I looked at her, my heart aching with love and the burden of what I now knew. I was sent back, I whispered, my voice still weak. There's something I have to tell you. The room fell silent, the kind of silence that buzzes in your ears. Everyone was staring at me, waiting. But I wasn't ready to share it all, not yet. The enormity of what I had experienced would take time to process. All I knew was that I had been given a mission, a responsibility to deliver a message that could shape the future of humanity. As I recovered, the weight of the message grew heavier, pressing on my heart and mind. I couldn't ignore it. I had been sent back for a reason, and the time to act was now. The visions I had seen, the light and the darkness, the hope and the despair, played over and over in my mind. The choice was clear, but humanity needed to hear it. So I began to speak. To those who would listen, I shared my story. I told them about the crossroads, the two futures that stretch before us. I spoke of the light, a future of unity, healing, and progress guided by faith and compassion. But I also warned of the darkness, a world where technology enslaved us, where greed and fear replaced love and humanity. Pray, I urged them. Pray for those who hold the tools of our future in their hands. Pray for Bill Gates and others like him, for their choices carry immense weight. They stand at the center of decisions that will shape not just this world, but the worlds to come. I spoke of the need for discernment, for a return to values that reflect the divine. Technology is not our enemy, I said. It is a gift, but like all gifts, it can be used for good or for evil. It depends on the hearts of those who wield it, and on us, the ones who allow it into our lives. I called on humanity to act. We cannot sit idly by, hoping for the best. We must be vigilant. We must demand ethical leadership, transparency, and accountability. We must prioritize faith, morality, and compassion in every decision, both big and small. As I spoke, I felt a shift. People listened, their eyes filled with both fear and hope. They began to understand the gravity of the message, not just as a warning, but as an invitation to take part in shaping the future. I ended each message with a reminder. The future is not set in stone. The visions I saw were possibilities, not certainties. We hold the power to choose, I said. Will we choose light, or will we fall into darkness? The choice is ours, and the time to act is now. And as I shared my story, I felt the presence of Jesus with me, his love and his promise echoing in my heart. Redemption is always possible. The road ahead may be difficult, but with faith, wisdom, and collective action, humanity can build a future of light, connection, and hope. This is the message I was sent back to deliver. The question now is, what will you choose? This story was intense, but this video on the right-hand side is even more insane.